you're going to find your social studies media. So the Ben Franklin podcast and any videos that I'm asking you to watch are going to be right here in social studies. So when you get to your dashboard, click on social studies and click this week, because that's the week we're in. And you're going to see everything we're going to do this week. This week we're just focusing on moving west. Your text pages are in your packet. So today is Monday. So you're going to listen to Ben Franklin episode 3. You're going to finish it up. So we almost, at least in my class, we almost listened to the whole thing. In Mrs. Davis's class, I don't know that we got to it. But you just click play.
Hey, it's Chris Terry. Have you been to
It'll
the new
play
Gen Z
right
merch store?
in your browser, so you don't have to go to anything else, and you can listen to it there. Then you're going to write your summary of the episode. You've probably seen my summary. It's not the greatest. You may want to add more. You're going to read about the Great Wagon Road, complete the study guide 1 to 12, and then watch this video of the Wagon Road. So you're actually going to get to see what it looks like now and then. You can play it right here and go to full screen, listen to it, or I guess you could, if you want to watch it on this teeny tiny little one. I don't know that you'd want to. You can watch it here and you're going to see the Wilderness Road. Make sure that you have filled out everything you need to fill out and you've listened to everything and watched everything you need to watch. The video lessons will be right down here. Whenever I record them, it'll have the date and the video. I hope that helps. Hey guys, I hope everything is amazing at your place and that you are safe and warm. Let's talk about social studies. So make sure you have your Moving West packet. We've got Jamaican Jack, we've got the Widow Fleming, we've got the Royal Governor, all right, so in prison, Ben meets Jamaican Jack. A free slave pressed into service in the Navy. And then arrested and set to be hanged. Ben finds the note from the stolen teapot in a tavern, but needs Jack's help to translate it. Ben uses the Widow Fleming to help free Jack and get the note translated. It seems like the note is just a shipping manifest, but could be much more. We also have Silence Do-Good. Which is another of Ben's identities. And her notes in James's paper are making a joke of the royal governor and are causing a lot of trouble. So we're going to see some problems around these Silence Do-Good letters. But remember that this is just Ben writing things that other people wouldn't say, calling it, you know, jokes. Okay, so it's getting deep in young Ben Franklin, but we have to remember we're also in the colonies. We're not just all in Philadelphia like Ben Franklin. There are some people who are choosing to start moving west. So starting on page 224, settlers from Pennsylvania, especially the Germans and Scotch-Irish, were among the first to settle further inland, away from the Atlantic coast. There they claimed what they saw as open land, even though the American Indians lived there. They hoped to make a piece of the frontier into a farm, where they could build a house and raise a family. They felt that moving to the frontier would give them a chance for a better life. The Great Wagon Road. In the early 1700s, most cities, towns, farms, and plantations in the 13 colonies were located near the coast, in the coastal plain region. At that time, few colonists had settled in the Piedmont, the land between the coastal plain and the Appalachian Mountains. Settlers called this frontier region the back country because it was beyond or in back of the area settled by Europeans. The waterfalls and the rivers along the fall line and the lack of roads made travel in the backcountry difficult. To get around the waterfalls, settlers had to portage or carry overland their boats and supplies. This kind of travel was so difficult that it discouraged many settlers from moving inland. By the mid-1700s, many settlers of the 13 colonies began to settle in areas west of the coastal plains. From Pennsylvania, large numbers of German and Scotch-Irish immigrants had begun moving into the back country of Western Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. To get there, the settlers followed an old Indian trail. As more and more settlers used the trail, it became wider and wider. Finally, wagons could travel on it and became known as the Great Wagon Road. From Pennsylvania, the Great Wagon Road passed through the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, along the eastern side of the Blue Ridge Mountains. The land there was hilly, and travel on the road was difficult. In places, it was so slippery that the horses could not keep their footing but fell to their knees, wrote one early traveler. However, the Great Wagon Road was the only way to get wagons loaded with household goods to the backcountry. Thousands of people followed the Great Wagon Road to move inland from Pennsylvania. Among them was a young man named Daniel Boone. When Boone was 16 years old, his family followed the Great Wagon Road to settle in the Yadkin Valley in North Carolina. The journey took more than a year. Later, Boone would become a well-known explorer who made new trails that took settlers even farther west. Okay, so let's take a look here. We've got, looks like the Great Wagon Road is right here. And it branches down. So it starts in Philadelphia and heads west. Here's our Appalachian Mountains if you're wondering, like, here's Pennsylvania, because here's the Ohio River, or here's Pittsburgh. This is the fall line. And this is where where the falls would be in the river, where they'd have to portage over. So you can see that they're trying to get so they can't portage over this fall line. So you can see these darker areas were settled by 1660, the grayish, I wish we had a color picture, and then these are settled by 1760. So we're slowly heading west towards, you know, the Ohio River Valley. All right, let's look at the study guide. And let's take a look. Settlers from Pennsylvania, especially the Germans and Scotch Irish, were the first to settle inland. So let's get Pennsylvania. Especially the Germans further settle inland. What are they calling inland? Away from the Atlantic coast. They hope to make a piece of the frontier into a farm. The Great Wagon Road. In the early 1700s, most settlements were near the coast. Very few settlers, or very few colonists settled on the blank, the land between the blank and the blank. Very few settlers settled on the Piedmont, which is the land between the coastal plain and the Appalachian Mountains. Coastal plain and the Appalachian Mountains. Settlers called this area the backcountry because it was behind or in back of the area settled by Europeans. What made travel in the backcountry difficult? Waterfalls and lack of roads. But by mid-1700s, many settlers were moving west of the coastal plain. Immigrants began moving into the backcountry of, what are the three places? There it is. Western Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Western Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. And to get there, they used an old Indian trail. As more people used the trail, it became wide enough for wagons, which is good. It was called the Great Wagon Road. Why was the Great Wagon Road so difficult? Right? It was hilly and travel was difficult. It was so slippery. Oh my gosh, so it was hilly and slippery. And which famous American traveled the Great Wagon Road? Daniel Boone. All right. To get a little more information about the Great Wagon Road, please watch the video I'm going to link below in the comment section or in the description so that you can just kind of see what it looked like and how it was. And I will see you tomorrow.